Today we are going to have a referral letter to me. So this is a referral letter to the GP, and the patient's name is Elizabeth Charlotte. As always, when we get the letter, what is the first thing we need to do? We need to read the writing task, isn't it? So let us go to the writing task. Can you read it for me?
Writing task. Using the information in the case notes, write a referral letter to her GP, Mrs. Cloida Tredman, 23 Martha Street, Brisbane, for follow-up care.
Okay. So from this writing task, we understand that from the information given in the case note, it is a referral letter written to her GP. Whose GP? The patient's GP. And what is the GP's name? Miss Claudia Tideman. And the address is given. Why? What is the purpose of this letter? For follow-up care. When a letter is written to the GP, what is it? Is it a known case or an unknown case?
Known case.
On case.
Yeah. So when it is a known case, automatically what can be avoided? What is the information that can be
Past
avoided?
history.
Family history, past medical history, past medications, all that, isn't it?
Yes.
So now let's start from the beginning of the letter. Can you please read, one person read from the beginning till the patient's detail?
Today's date 19/1/2009. Admission date 25/2008. You are a nurse working in the Adams International Hospital. Mrs. Charlotte is your patient name. Mrs. Elizabeth Charlotte, 9 years. Marital status, married to Mr. No.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just explain once again. Beginning, the letter. You must, when you read the letter, always have the reader in mind. Whom are we writing to? We're writing to a GP, isn't it? So you should always have that GP in mind and then select the information what is required. So today's date is 19/1/2009, which means that is the day when we are writing the letter, isn't it?
Yes.
Admission means the date when the patient was admitted to the hospital. You are a nurse, that because that is your title. You can write when you at the end of the letter, you can write it as a registered nurse working in Adams International Hospital. Mrs. Charlotte. Here the name is Mrs. Elizabeth Charlotte. The age is 49. She's married to Noah. Someone read the social background for me.
Lives in a rent flat. Income, aged pension, and chronic smoker for 12 years. Alcoholic for 15 years. Diabetic mellitus for 10 years. On metformin. History of gastritis in 2005.
Yeah. So we read a little bit about the social background. Do you think this information is already familiar with the GP?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So do you think that should be included in the letter?
No.
Yeah. So now, see, let's read this. 25/12/2008. When you look at the previous page, you understand that that is the day when this patient was admitted, isn't it?
Yes.
See, when you look at this letter, we see multiple dates. It's a letter of multiple, multiple dates. So how do we handle it? Should we write all the dates? Should we write all the information? Should we write everything if the symptoms is repeated again and again? Should we rewrite them? All these are issues. So let us clear all that. So one of you read only the 25th part.
25th December 2008. Breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough and fatigue. Heart rate 78, BP 125/87, respiratory rate 30, temperature 36.7. Chest X-ray done, bronchitis and bronchodilators and steam inhalation.
Okay. The 25/12/2008, the day when Mrs. Charlotte was admitted to the hospital, she presented with complaints of breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, and fatigue. So these are the symptoms, presenting symptoms. And let us look at the vital signs. Are they normal? Are they deranged? Can you tell me?
Only respiratory rate
Is slightly
Respiratory.
Yeah, only
Chest
respiratory rate
X-ray,
is slightly high.
bronchitis.
Yeah. So what about the readings? The readings are fine except for the respiratory rate, which is a little high. And for that, because of that, a chest X-ray was done, which confirmed bronchitis, isn't it? Therefore, she was managed with bronchodilators and steam inhalation. So here, I would say, if the readings are normal, You don't have to mention that. And in the next day, in the next passage, when you get another date, for example, from 24th, what happened on 3rd? If the previous symptoms are mentioned again, you don't have to rewrite them. Why? Because it is already written. So in that case, only if there are any new developments should you write that. Okay? Otherwise, you will lose marks for concisely. Okay? So can one of you read this? 3rd.
8 January 2009. Breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, fatigue, and fever. Heart rate 121, BP 106/68, respiratory rate 36, temperature 39, chest X-ray, pneumonia, paracetamol 650 mg 4 times a day, amoxicillin 500 mg TDS.
Okay, so on 3rd, what happened? She's admitted with difficulty, with complaints of breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, and fatigue. And then through the X-ray, they came to know it is bronchitis, isn't it? Now, 3rd, what happened? Again, we can see the same symptoms: breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, fatigue, isn't it? So, should you rewrite them again?
No.
No. And along with that, there's fever.
Yeah.
What are the readings? What are the readings?
Heart rate is except
Temperature high.
Okay, what about the heart rate? Let's go one by one.
Heart rate is very high.
It's
Increased.
high. And what about the BP?
Low.
BP
Normal.
reduced.
It has dropped, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What about the RR?
High.
Increased.
Temperature is also
High.
high. So we can see that everything is deranged. And so chest X-ray showed that the condition has worsened, and it confirmed pneumonia. Therefore, paracetamol, along with paracetamol, amoxicillin was also started 3 times a day. So when you write the third date event, you don't have to mention everything that has been written already. But if you find any new development, that can be written. At the same time, since it is to a doctor, if the findings are deranged, of course you can mention that, and then you don't have to write each date. Instead, you can use subsequently, on subsequent days. This is how you can begin the paragraph. Okay. So what about the 14?
14/1/2009. Breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, and thick secretions. Oxygen 2 liters per minute via nasal cannula. Sputum culture 2+. Staphylococcus aureus. Heart rate 100. BP 123/86. RR 24. Temperature 38. Reference to respiratory therapist. CT scan, pleural effusion. Thoracosynthesis done.
So 14, what happens? Let's see. Again, the patient has his previous symptoms as breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough. Along with that, any new developments?
Thick
Thick
secretion.
secretion.
Yeah. So she was supported with oxygen, and the sputum culture revealed Staphylococcus aureus. What about the readings? How would you rate them? How is the HR?
Almost not a little high.
But it is lowered, isn't it? And what about the BP?
BP also
BP stable.
Yeah, it is stable. And the RR,
Yes.
Become stable.
it's become more stabilized. And temperature,
Reduced.
Almost little
almost
high.
Yeah, a little on trace, but the condition generally has become more stable. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So she was referred to a respiratory therapist, and therefore, following that, a CT scan was performed, which confirmed pleural effusion, for which thoracosynthesis was performed. Again, in this 14th day of event, please don't repeat the dates. Only write what is new, and if there is something that is rearranged, mention that. And can I have someone to read the 19?
19. Fever subside. Breathing normal. Vital signs. Vital stable.
Yeah. 19. Miss Charlotte is ready to be discharged. The fever has subsided. The breathing is normal. The vitals are stable. So, what is the plan now? The discharge instructions, which is, in other words, plan. Read it.
Discharge instructions. Arrest. Continue analgesics. Antibiotic. Change it to augmentin 650 mg 2 times. per day for next 7 days, regular checkup, quit smoking program and counseling, PFT after 21 days.
Okay, so discharge instruction says rest and continue analgesics. Antibiotics change, which means it has already been changed to augment, which needs to be continued for the next 7 days. Along with that, they need to do regular checkup. With smoking program and counseling should be encouraged. And there's a pulmonary function test also after 21 days. So I would say when you see in the plan now, you have a lot of requests to be done. So I would say instead of writing them one by one, if you can club similar plans or something that fall into the same category, using a connector, you can frame it in sentence. For example, you could club the rest and the regular checkups together, isn't it? You continue analytics and about the augment and you get antibiotics, you can tell that together. So if you want, you can combine. That will be better. You get more marks for that instead of writing one by one. So I hope you've understood the letter, what it says. Now, our next task is what should be avoided, what should be written, isn't it? So what do you think is important here? Can you all tell me? I don't want you to read the whole details, but you can just read the headings.
Today's stage,
Headings, yeah.
Patient
medicine
is
name, which
Admission date is also important, no? Okay, on the 25th, what all should be written? Tell me.
to a GP.
What
Hello.
all should be written? Read it. Tell me. 25th, what all should be written?
Complaints,
Hmm?
breathing difficulty. We can write complaints, breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough and fatigue.
vitals,
Yeah.
respiratory rate alone is.
Chest X-ray, bronchodilate, everything is important. Chest X-ray and medications.
So you don't have to mention that RR alone was. You cannot write everything, but instead give the main. That is why because you know that you are marked for being concise. Only the main point should be there. So definitely the preceding complaint should be there. You don't have to mention about the RR and special. But it is clear that because when you have done the chest X-ray, it shows bronchitis, isn't it? So how was she managed? All that is important. Yeah. On the third, what is to be written?
Fever,
Fever, vital signs.
Yeah, she
Pneumonia.
already has pneumonia. No? So I don't, should you mention fever? If you want, but otherwise it's fine. What about the vital signs?
Yes,
vitals
important.
unstable.
You can say that the vital signs were elevated, but you don't have to mention the readings because at the time of discharge, this person is already normal. So you don't have to mention each and every reading, but instead you can mention that on examination, elevated vital signs were noted. That you can say. And then what else to be written? Tell me.
Chest X.
Yeah, that's X-ray.
Chest X-ray. And we
Pneumonia,
will.
And then what else?
Medications also important.
commensal paracetamol and amoxicillin.
So the chest X-ray, pneumonia, and the paracetamol and amoxicillin all should be written. Yeah, right. And what about the 14th? What should be
Along
written?
with constant symptom,
Thick secretions.
You can
That is
say along
important.
with along with the previous symptoms, thick secretions were also evident or were noted. Then what else?
supported with oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
sputum culture, streptococcus,
Yeah.
Then
vital
reference
symptom.
to respiratory therapist. CT scan
CT
and
scan, pleural effusion.
paracentesis.
See, again, look at the end. She's getting normal and she's being discharged. So you don't have to write everything. You don't have to say she was referred to a respiratory therapist and then she underwent the scan. So you can just summarize and say that she had a scan which confirmed pleural effusion. Therefore, thermosis was performed. Don't you think that is enough? What about the 19th one? What do you all tell?
Patient stable, ready for discharge.
And then in the plan, didn't you all see antibiotics change, which means it has changed sometime earlier. So I think it is also advisable to write that on the 19th. You mentioned that her antibiotics has been changed to opium. Clear? You have two options. You can either write the plan along with that, which needs to be continued for the next 7 days, or if you want, you can write that in the plan paragraph at the end. Okay, these are the options. Okay, and then what about the plan? What all should be written?
Rest and follow up together.
Yeah,
analgesics and antibiotics together for 7 days. Quit smoking program and counseling.
And
In
follow
short, yeah, in short, everything should be written, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I will share the screen. This is what I thought was important. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I want you all to join with me in discussing.
In January 2009,
Is the date. So, how do you write the address part?
Mrs. Claudia Treadman.
Right.
Mrs. Claudia
GP
Tideman.
23
Miss,
March.
yeah, I will say that. Mrs. Claudia Tideman. That is the name. The next line, what do you write?
23.
GP
Yeah, you have to write general practitioner. And then,
23 Martha Street, Brisbane.
good. So now,
Salutation.
yeah, salutation. What do you write?
Dear Mrs. Treadman.
Dear
Is
doctor.
that right? Is that right?
Dear doctor.
Yeah, dear Dr. Tideman, comma. The next line, you write the reference, isn't it? What do you write?
Mrs. Elizabeth Challenge, age
Yeah.
49.
So in this, what do you think is the main diagnosis? Tell me.
Pneumonia.
Anyone else? Do you all agree with that?
Yes.
Why? Because we write the chief complaint, isn't it? So we know that he was admitted with an inflammation, and then later it was confirmed through the chest X-ray that it was pneumonia. Therefore, pleural effusion was done. So as a main diagnosis, we write pneumonia. Clear?
Yes,
To the introduction. Can I have someone to help me for the introduction? Tell me fast.
I am writing to refer Miss Charlotte in your care and request your continued care and management.
Okay, can someone else help me?
She is recovered from pneumonia, to be mentioned, no?
And
Being
what about the
discharged today.
discharge?
And she is
So
being
stu-
discharged.
Voila. You all gave me the idea, except for a little bit of grammar corrections. So always remember, for the exam, it is very tight. You don't have enough time. So what are the things for the introduction? You have to start.
Complaint.
So you can either start
Patient
with the
name.
patient's name, or you can write, I am writing to transfer, or I'm writing to update, because it's a GP case. You can either say, I am writing to update the health status of Mrs. Charlotte, or I'm writing to transfer Mrs. Charlotte back into your care. Why? Then you write the purpose. In the writing task, it is very clearly given for follow-up care, isn't it? So you can say, as she requires your continued care and management. So here we mention the name of the patient and we write the purpose. Next, what do we write? We write the main diagnosis and also mention whether she's been discharged the same day or on a future date, isn't it? So how do you say? Don't you think she's recovering from that? So how do you write?
She is recovering from pneumonia and being discharged. Discharged today.
Actually, she's recovering from that. She's almost getting back to normal. She has got that. You can say she is recovering. She's on the road of recovery alone. She is recovering from pneumonia and is being discharged today. So I will share my screen. This is the address part. You can either write the date in the beginning or you can write after the address. This is the introduction. Here I have mentioned the patient's name in the beginning, and then I've written the purpose and also the main diagnosis, which context. Along with that, I've mentioned the date of discharge. Mrs. Charlotte is being transferred back into your care. Why? Because you're right, because it was written to the GP. Or you can say, I'm writing to update the health status because this patient is already known to the GP. So we just need to update. Ms. Charlotte is being transferred back into your care. For what? For, here we have to write the purpose, for continued care and management. Why? As she is recovering from pneumonia. We have to write the context. Here we say the main diagnosis. Then, next sentence, you can see she's being. Can you all follow?
Yes.
Now, what do you write? See, I told you many times before that, when you have multiple visits, especially if it's an urgent letter, you always have to start with the last visit. Haven't I told you all? Yes or
Yes,
no?
yes.
Yeah. Why? Because the reader has to start the treatment from the current events. But in some cases, for example, here, if you just read the last bit, do you understand anything? Nothing. You cannot understand the whole story, or the reader cannot understand the full story on the 19th day, isn't it? Why? Because it is just written, ready to be discharged, fever subsides, so everything is normal. So, for the reader to get an idea as to what happened, you have to say that, so they say the event from the beginning, isn't it? You have to start on 25th, which means we have to follow a chronological order of events. So we have to start from 25th, and then step by step we have to say what happened occurred later. Please try to avoid all the dates. Don't mention the symptoms which we have already written before. Vital signs, again, the readings need not be there, but if it is elevated, you can say it is elevated. And don't write each and every line that is written, but just the reader should get an idea only about the important things. So, how do you all start? Tell me, in the next paragraph, what do you write? We have to write the situation, isn't it? Because in the situation comes the date of admission, and along with that, we can write the assessment also. Assessment meaning what was done, the investigations or the tests done during hospitalization. Along with that, we can also write about the medications. You can all tell me?
On 25th December 2008, Mrs. Charlotte was admitted to the hospital with the complaints of breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough, and fatigue. On examination, her vital signs were stable except respiration.
No, you don't have to mention each and everything. I would say leave it. Instead, come to the diagnosis.
Her chest X-ray was done and it revealed bronchitis.
Don't say,
Therefore-
don't write chest X-ray. Wait, hold on. Don't write chest X-ray was done. It becomes more academic. Instead, we can shorten it by saying just chest X-ray confirmed bronchitis. Isn't that enough?
Yes. Chest X-ray confirmed bronchitis. Therefore, she was managed with bronchodilators and steam inhalation.
Yeah, good. And how to write the next date? Here on the 3rd, you can see that actually the condition is worsening, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and this after a few days. So, how do you begin?
Patient represented.
She's already admitted.
Subsequently, few days.
We can say on subsequent days or after over a few days. You can start off. What is happening? Actually, her condition is worsened, no? Along with the previous symptoms, she also has fever. So actually, her condition is worsened. That is why the X-ray shows pneumonia. So you can write, mentioning that her condition worsened. Try that way.
Yes.
Over a few days, her condition was worsened with the constant
Condition worsened എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ with constant symptoms പറയണ്ട. This is already
okay.
That is clear.
Elevated vital signs
Were noted. Then what else?
noted.
Chest X-ray confirmed the diagnosis.
Okay.
For which she was on paracetamol and antibiotic amoxicillin.
You don't have to mention the date. Instead, we have already mentioned the admission date. We can say, Mr. Here it is clear that her condition is becoming worsened. Condition has worsened. So you can mention like this, Mrs. Charlotte's condition worsened. Mrs. condition worsened over a few days with fever. On examination, elevated signs were noted and the chest X-ray confirmed the diagnosis. We should not mention again pneumonia. Why? because you have already mentioned it in the introduction. You repeat it, you will lose. Clear?
Yes.
Then she was managed with paracetamol, comma, 650 mg, comma, 4 times a day, and amoxicillin, comma, 500 mg, comma, thrice daily. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you all see it?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlotte was admitted to hospital on 25th December 2008 with complaints of breathing difficulty, chest pain, cough and fatigue, chest x-ray confirmed bronchitis, for which she was commenced on bronchodilators and steam inhalation. This is about the first day, isn't it? 25th. Next, how do you write? Mrs. Charlotte's condition worsened over the next few days with fever. Or you can say over the next few days, Mrs. Charlotte's condition worsened. You can either also write that way. On examination, elevated vital signs were noted and the chest X-ray confirmed the diagnosis. Here, this diagnosis is pneumonia, so we should not rewrite again. That is why we are written like this. Chest X-ray confirmed the diagnosis. Which diagnosis is already mentioned in the introduction? It is pneumonia. She was managed with paracetamol. This is how you have to write about the medicine. After the name of the medicine, put a comma, write the dosage, and then the frequency. Paracetamol, comma, 650 mg, 4 times a day, and amoxicillin, comma, 500 mg thrice daily. Is that clear with you all?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So we have mentioned about the 25th and the 3rd. So how do you write about the 14th? Now the condition has become more stable, isn't it?
Yes.
But still, we can see that there is thick secretion, which has to be mentioned. Again, earlier it was on 3rd, now it is many days after that, it's on the 14th. So you can use on subsequent days instead of using the date as 14. Can you all try?
On subsequent days, can we say along with the previous symptoms, thick secretions were noted?
Yes, good.
So she was supported with
So
oxygen.
Venda.
For
Next
which?
line you
Therefore.
can say.
For which?
Yeah, or you can start it like a fresh sentence. She was supported with
Oxygen.
Mm.
She was supported with the oxygen. Her sputum culture revealed Staphylococcus aureus.
So can't you write that together? She was supported with 2 liters of oxygen and sputum culture showed Staphylococcus aureus. Connect it and write using a connector. Clear?
Okay, like this, she was supported with 2 liter oxygen and her sputum culture showed Staphylococcus aureus.
Yeah, 2 liters, not liter.
2 liters.
Okay,
2
carry
liters
on.
oxygen.
Good.
Then her condition became stable.
അത് പറയണ്ട.
Allah,
No need.
therefore she referred
How
to
can you say?
respiratory.
How can you say a condition becomes stable because it also has thick secretions? It's contradictory.
Thick secretion.
അങ്ങനെ
Okay.
എഴുതണ്ട. Then what was done? Which test was done?
She was referred to a respiratory therapist. That is with thick secretions, right?
You don't have to mention everything, each and everything line. But instead you say what was done and what was found.
His scan confirmed pleural effusion, for which thoracosynthesis was
Yeah,
done.
that is enough. Yeah, or we can say she underwent a CT scan, which revealed pleural effusion, for which thoracentesis was performed. Okay, I share the screen, then you can understand. On subsequent days, constant symptoms. They're the pale symptoms, previous symptoms, along with thick secretions were noted. Were noted. She was supported with 2 liters of oxygen and sputum culture showed staphylococcus aureus. She underwent a CT scan which revealed pleural effusion, for which thoracentesis was performed. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Now, so we completed the 14th also. Now what is left? 19th, isn't it? When are we writing the date? When is the date of the letter? When are we writing the letter? It is on 19th.
It is today. We can write.
So yeah, so don't write on 19th because that is the day when we are writing the letter. അതുകൊണ്ട് it is enough if you write today. Okay.
Her vitals are stable.
When you begin the paragraph, mention the name of the patient.
Miss Charlotte, vitals are stable. And
You know,
changed to
yeah. You can mention that.
Change to augmented.
Yeah. Then write today, Miss Charlotte has made good progress. So there is enough. Instead of saying the fever subsided, the bill is normal, the vitals are stable. Finish it off in one line writing. Mr. Charlotte has made good progress. Then mention the antibiotics. Karanam why? Because it is already been used. We don't know when it is. You can mention it the last day. Her antibiotics has been changed. To augmentin, 650 mg, 2 times a day. I told you it's optional. If you want, you can write the plan, which will be continued for the next 7 days, along with this, which needs to be continued for the next 7 days. Otherwise, you can write the plan alone in the last paragraph. Clear? You can write the follow-up of this medicine in the plan paragraph. Clear?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Yes, read it. Read it.
Today.
Read.
Today,
Yeah. Today, Miss
Has made good progress. Her antibiotics has been changed to 650 mg, 2 times a day.
Yeah. Today, Miss Charlotte has made antibiotics has been changed to augmentin, 650 mg 2 times a day. I plan to write that at the end. Last paragraph. It is good if it is also done. You want to write antibiotics have to augmentin 2 times a day, which needs to be continued for the next 7 days. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is left?
Plan.
What do you write the plan?
Would be appreciated if you could provide.
Right?
It would be appreciated if you could provide regular checkup and adequate rest.
Yeah. You want, you can write rest and regular checkup together. Then what else?
Subsequently, she needs to be continued analgesic
and antibiotics.
Mm.
Antibiotics for next size.
Okay.
Kindly ensure her to join quit smoking program and counseling.
പിന്നെ
Please stop her PPT
PFT.
after 21 days.
Okay. Good.
PFT.
Yeah. It would be appreciated if you could provide regular checkup and advise her for adequate rest. Full stop. She needs to continue analgesics and antibiotics for the next 7 days. She is also referred for quit smoking program and counseling. Kindly follow up her PFT after 21 days. Can one of you read?
It would be appreciated if you could provide regular checkup and advise her for adequate rest. She needs to continue analgesics and antibiotics for the next 7 days. She is also recommended for quit smoking program and counseling. Kindly follow her PFT after 21 days.
Okay. Now come back to the letter. Once you've completed, recheck. Have you written everything? Have you missed out anything in the second page? Have you mentioned everything?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
No.
What about the
Everything
first
mentioned.
page? What about the first page? Have you mentioned? You don't have to write anything
Yes.
about the social background, isn't it?
No need.
Yes, ma'am.
Which means it is all over.
Yes.
So how do you end the letter, Arne?
If you have any queries, please do contact
Please
me.
do God.
Yeah, leave one line and write that. If you have any queries, please contact me. Then how do you all sign off?
Yours
You are sincerely registered nurse.
nurse.
Why do you write yours sincerely?
Reader's
is
name
there.
mentioned.
Yeah, reader's name is mentioned. And then title is you're a nurse. You can write registered nurse. So yeah, so I will show you that also. If you have any queries, please contact me. Yours sincerely, registered nurse. Okay, so I hope you all understood the letter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.